A very good evening and a warm welcome to all our esteemed guests and to dear learners. I am Dr. Ria Tukral from RadarOpus by Bijan RX, and we are here today for a very interesting session with Dr. Anne Vervarcke. She will be talking about her works that are available in RadarOpus, like The Family Finder, Strange Rare Remedies, and a lot many more, as you can see in the highlights of this webinar. So we have her live with us right now, but before I go ahead with this webinar, as it is customary to tell you about RadarOpus, let me quickly give you an overview. So please allow me to tell you all a little about RadarOpus. So RadarOpus homeopathic software is a name that we all are familiar with. It has an all-in-one revolutionary interface offering repertories, materia medica, and your patient files on one single simple platform. It comes enriched with more than 30 repertories, including synthesis repertory, which is highly reliable and flexible enough to suit your needs. With RadarOpus, you will have access to 1,500 plus books and volumes in the references section, which is the largest collection among all the softwares available. The WinChip patient management tool helps you to keep track of your patients, consultations, pathology, etc., and helps you to extract information very easily. There are a number of concepts and families for you to choose from to help in your case analysis. You can even let Dr. George Vitholkas help you in solving your case with his expert system. So you see why RadarOpus is the number one choice. It is fast, it is simple, it is flexible, it's reliable and authentic. For RadarOpus users, we do conduct free webinars, quizzes every week. We provide technical guidance, data protection, new updates, and free notes as well. So those who are interested, RadarOpus comes in these 5 packages, and you can see the prices on your screens. For more information on each package, please visit our website www.bijanrx.com. We do have a no-cost EMI offer available where you can pay an advance amount followed by 6 installments for next 6 months. Contact us at some technical errors happening. Sorry about that. So I was saying that you can contact us on the given numbers or you can mail us as well. I'll be providing you the details in the chat so that you can access it easily. So if you still have doubts, you can always experience the software for free before buying it. Simply download the free demo version available on our website. And if you have trouble downloading it, understanding how to download it, you can just contact us and let us know if you want a free software, and we will help you in that as well. Also, not forgetting, since we have Diwali coming, so we have a Diwali offer for you, a mega sale on RadarOpus. We have flat discount on every package. So before that goes away, avail it now. I will share with you the details as well. Coming back to this webinar about our esteemed guest, esteemed speaker of the day, Dr. Anne, I would like to tell you a little about her. So about Dr. Anne, she is trained in classical homeopathy in Belgium and in the Netherlands at the School for Homeopathy in Amersfoort. She established the Center for Classical Homeopathy in Belgium, which organizes a 5-year training course, postgraduate course, yearly seminars, and international trainings. She served as program creator, teacher, and director for 15 years. She also has a private clinic since 1989. She coordinates international trainings and seminars, teaches in the Center for Classical Homeopathy, offers postgraduate seminars, a masterclass, and online training as well. She has published several novels and 9 books on homeopathy. Her English language publications for homeopaths include these: The Charm of Homeopathy, Behind the Glass Screen, A Homeopathic Survey of Ozone, The Vital Approach, Homeopathy, Strange, Rare and Peculiar, Homeopathy is Everywhere, Beyond Mind and Body. Works by Dr. Anne available as an add-on in RadarOpus software include all these four: The Family Finder, Beyond Mind and Body, Rare Remedies for Difficult Cases, Homeopathy, Strange, Rare and Peculiar. And Dr. Anne today will be talking to us and making us understand how to use these, how to learn from her years of experience and practice. So we are really thankful for her to be here with us. Ma'am, can we please have you live with us so that our audience can see you?
Yes. Here
Good
I
evening, ma'am.
am.
Thank you so much for being here. Ma'am, please turn on your audio. I can't hear you yet.
You can't hear me yet? Well, you should, because it's on, as far as I can see.
I still can't hear you, ma'am. Is your audio on?
Well, it's
Okay.
according to my icons, it's on. Yes. Can't hear me now? Can you
Hello?
hear me now? Can you hear me
Ma'am, I
now?
still can't hear you. Can the audience let us know if they can hear us?
I can
Hear
hear you
Dr.
well.
Anne? Can hear everyone?
I can hear you. I don't know if the audience can hear me.
Okay, so everybody can hear you. So I
Mhm.
will not waste any more time. I think there's some technical issue like always. So
Yes.
before I hand over to you, ma'am, let me quickly be done with my part. I'll explain the learners how this interface works. So on the right-hand side panel of your screen, you have a short chat box. You can type your question or whatever message you have for Dr. Anne right there and press the button next to it to send it to us. I request you all to send your questions only after Dr. Anne's lecture is over, as that might disturb her and we wouldn't want that. So thank you so much, everyone. Let's start learning, ma'am. Over to you. I don't want to waste any more time, and we should start learning from you right away.
Okay.
So shall I start your presentation?
Yes. So thank you for giving me this opportunity, Dr. Ria, and to explain a bit more about my work. And, I call it the vital approach because I think it is, let's say, special or unique or a bit different than the other approaches are around. But basically, it is an eclectic mixture, you could say, of my experience, my classical training to start with, my experience throughout the decades now, my exposure to the newest developments since I was director of this school for many years, and the school was there for 27 years in Belgium. And I always say you have to be a bit cleverer than your students, so you should be always on the aware or knowing about the latest developments, which of course I did not only to tell my students, but also out of my own interest. And I have a background in anthropology, epistemology, and all those things and linguistics that make it, let's say, a unique blend. Probably everybody would say after a few decades, I have my unique style or my unique blend. It is influenced, as I said, by the classics and by the modern developments in homeopathy of the last decades, which are, by the way, very exciting, as I find. So my approach, I will explain a little bit what I mean by that. You already talked a little bit about the book, so I will skip that. That is in RadarOpus, you can find a few. There's one more, The Vital Approach, which basically is kind of a manual with schemes that I will show you in a minute. It was available. It will be available soon in an updated edition. Beyond Mind and Body, what I want to say about that book, it is a book with 9 exemplary cases. That means cases from patients of different ages, different levels of pathology, different kingdoms of remedies. So they are picked because they show very well what is typical for their particular approach and prescription. And it is made in an easy to read question and answer. So while the verbatim case is reported, you read through it, it is interrupted by questions. Of course, in reality, the consultation was not interrupted, but it is the questions that the patients and not the patients, but the students and the homeopaths would ask in the breaks. Like, why did you ask this? How could you differentiate with this kingdom? Why did you not go into this detail? So it's like coaching the homeopaths while doing the case and explaining the theory. It's a demonstration of the theory, and we come to the theory in just a second. And Homeopathy, Strange and Peculiar, is more like a philosophical, theoretical book, which I, like as well. Both of the developments are very important, I think. The insight in the system of homeopathy, which is basically the grammar of it, and then the extension of our knowledge by provings and by new remedies and more cases, which is the vocabulary of homeopathy. And I like to work on both fields. So in these books, you can find, let's say, the both aspects if you want. And then the database of the rare remedies for difficult cases is a selection of lesser known remedies or completely rare remedies and exemplary cases, again with a search engine. So you can look through it, you can either consult the list of the remedies and decide of which remedy you want to have an example, or you can do a search because you have a patient and these are the words that you think are important, the topics, and then search through the database if it will lead you to a lesser known remedy that you might not have thought about yourself. So what I said, the vital approach is basically this. You can see it in one slide. It's schemes on RadarOpus that you can find for free. They are there for many, many years already, and they show like my whole approach in just one glance. I use this 5-level diagram, the levels of experience, I call them. So you can see level 1 is physical, if you go from the inside to the outside. Second is energetic level. Third is emotional. Fourth is mental. Fifth is vital. So I think that doesn't need to need much explanation. And if you want more explanation, it's all in the book. That's why the vital approach, the manual, comes with the schemes, then you understand. But it comes down to level 1 is the physical complaint, level 2 is the energetic level. That means the energetic aspect of the physical symptom. Let's say you have hormonal problems that will show in physical symptoms, let's say hot flushes or whatnot, but let's say the regulation of the hormones is not to be seen under the microscope. That's an energetic aspect. That's on level 2. The outcomes will be shown on the physical, but the dynamic is on the energetic level. So symptoms like pain or exhaustion, or like I said, hormonal problems, immune problems, these all reside on level 2. But level 1 and 2 together are the physical aspect of the person. Now level 3 and 4 which is emotional, mental. Emotional, we all know, that's the subtle body surrounding us, where we have our private and also collective emotions, because there's an exchange. And also on the mental level, we have our private thoughts, and also we are influenced by the collective thoughts. This makes up our mind. That is how our mind works. And because of mental constructs, conscious and unconscious and subconscious, we have particular emotions. This makes up our psyche. So that you could say is the mind, and then the prescription that I'm aiming at is beyond. That's why I have the title of this book, Beyond Mind, and chosen the title of this book, Beyond Mind and Body, because the prescription I always try to find is on the vital level, and that is beyond. So what does it mean beyond? It's a little bit of a difficult concept, but I think it became more familiar with Dr. Rajan Sankaran's work, who calls it sensation level, which I agree to. It is the level of a sensation in mind and body the same. It is the source of the symptoms that we see cascading from the vital on the mental, emotional, energetic, and finally physical level. It is what I understand, my reading of the organon, the dynamics. It's the level of the distorted dynamics or the disturbed dynamics. And that is, in Hahnemann's work, where the vital force resides. That's why I call it the vital approach. It is a disturbance of the vital force showing or expressing itself on mind and body. That's in the organon. Disease is a disturbance of the vital force showing, expressing itself on mind and body. And so that's why I'm saying I'm deeply rooted in classical homeopathy, but also applying all the modern and latest insights to make it applicable. So this vital level, this dynamism, I consider as the source, if you want, of the problem. If the problem is there, what we see are but expressions of that problem. If we can take away the expressions, not by trying to suppress them and prescribe on the expressions, but prescribe on the source, then the source dries up and there is no longer a reason to produce symptoms. The expressions go because the disturbance is gone. And that's our criterion to know whether our constitutional prescription, if you want, or our vital prescription was accurate. So that's my point of view. In short, it is prescribing for the person, not for the symptoms. Which again is aphorism 1 of the organon. How classical can you be? And then you see my anamnesis scheme, which again I try to simplify, because sometimes when teaching I saw like the desperation on the faces of my students, because it's so difficult. It is such an enormous database. It's impossible to know everything there is to know. How can you even manage and find this one remedy that is the best for the person, the best suitable constitutional vital remedy for that person? So I always try to make homeopathy manageable again by seeing the most important things first and then later the details. Focus on the essence and then later fill in the details if necessary. So again, in anamnesis, I think it's very important to know what you're looking for, exactly what you're looking for, and to have a method to know whether you are or we let people talk, but not just randomly. We know very well, are very focused and very attentive to get the vital information out. So in the first round, you see defining the territory. That means the patient will tell you where is the remedy hidden. He will say, for instance, I have a problem with eczema, I don't sleep very well, and also I worry about my wife's health or something. Just the first thing that came into my mind. So that's it. We're not going to talk about anything else, about eczema, about sleep, and about worry. And of course, we know eczema is level 1, sleep is level 2, worry is level 3 and 4. So we already have a hierarchy of symptoms. And then we explore the subjects that the patient brought in all details. Then, second part is more of the same. We control if there's nothing new coming, if there's everything is already said. And then step 3 is confirmative. Then we ask for the first time. Second step is clarification of what the patient said. Third step is more direct questions aimed at level 4. That means at the subconscious level, and usually it shows you the pattern, and you are able to prescribe. What else do you see on these maps? You see there is kingdoms and there's miasms. So that will help you to decide in which group you have to look for a remedy, because kingdoms have special characteristics, and so have miasms. Miasms are coping up mechanisms for the sensation. You experience yourself and the world in a particular way, and you react in a fixed way, an appropriate way to your sensation. That which is pure logic. You cannot react anything else if you perceive the world and yourself the way you do. So this will help you, because these coping up mechanisms have fixed patterns. And then the next scheme that you can find in RadarOpus, it's already there for a long time. It gives you the characteristics of each kingdom at that time. Now I extended it a lot, but at that time, let's say we did like the 3 main kingdoms, mineral, plant, animal, and also nosode as a separate group. And then the sub-kingdoms, of course, animal has a lot of sub-kingdoms, plant it's enormous, but we have now very good sources of people who specialized in the plant world. Mineral kingdom was, by that time that the schemes were made, and that's, I think, almost 15 years ago, were already explored in detail by people like Jan Scholten. So this was known, and this is more or less what you see is my version. And my version, my reading, is always trying to boil it down to the most essential words. They have to be in there, not all of them, but at least a few. If they're not there, it's not your remedy. Then it's only details. It has to be like the main things characterizing your case. Okay, so then you see the sub-kingdoms, where again you can see what is the main characteristic of each sub-kingdom that I listed so far. And if you then do a repertorization in RadarOpus, you can click on it. For instance, you think, I guess I need a snake. And then you click on it, and then it gives you all your snakes in your repertorization. Or if you go back one slide and you say, I think it's an animal, then you like overlay it and limit your repertorization to only snakes and see what comes up, or only birds, or whatever you think you want to have a look, because you recognize these characteristics in your patient. So that will make your choice much more limited and hopefully able to come to one species, the one you need for your patient. Now, over the years, I found this kingdom, let's say, division in the beginning very, very, very helpful, and slowly also too limited, because in the same way we tried in the past to squeeze our patients in the boxes of the remedies we knew. Now we try to squeeze them in the kingdoms we knew. And then I thought, well, what about all those people who need sarcodes, or carbon compounds, or gemstones, or they're just not listed, or reptiles, mollusks, so they're not listed in all these groups we saw so far. So, and that I'm talking now about years of work that finally resulted in a module, the Family Finder, I will show you in a minute, and a spin-off if you want, and that is the Vital Approach Map of Homeopathic Families, where I tried to give every family or group known to me to this point a place, and not only a place in an overview, like a world map. Like this is all the groups, families, and kingdoms and sub-kingdoms we have, and where are they on the map of the world, and how do they relate to each other, because that is very important. I saw that the relationship was missing in our previous understanding. We could say, okay, it's an animal, but then what differential diagnosis would you have made? How would you have come to either a mammal or a mollusk? How would you have been able to tell the difference between a snake and a spider? Because they have very many symptoms in common. Well, there is a way, and in the map I used but you only see a piece of it. But it is also on RadarOpus, where you can see the full map and navigate through the map. I just give you a glimpse of it. So I use the 7 horizontal rows of the periodic table, which is in the background, like a blueprint for, all phenomena on Earth. And we are familiar with the 7, so that's easy. We are familiar with issues and the topics that belong to each row of the periodic table. So, for instance, now if we say the issue on row 2 is, for instance, becoming a separate being, which I compare or symbolize by the birth process. If you read my book, Beyond the Glass Screen, it's all on the row 2. It's how it shows in patients. It's about ozone, but of course there's a differential diagnosis with all the other remedies on the road too. So I think that's very useful because we often disregard it or overlook it because it's about being born in this world. But of course we have adult patients. I mean, we have a lot of adult patients who are not aware of this background sensation. But we have to know how to spot it in their particular words that they will use. So let's say we understood very well the issue of this person is, how do I become a separate being? How can I separate myself from the source of my existence? How can I release myself from this symbiotic need for another, right? This could be the issue. Now, let's say until now, we would have given one of the 8 possibilities on the periodic table. But if you now have the characteristics of the animals and the plants and the minerals, and you say, this is not a mineral, because, I have to have an animal remedy. It's clearly animal. Then you see, you also have, for instance, the mollusks. Oh, you wouldn't have thought about this because mollusks show very little animal qualities, but they do show a lot of row 2 qualities. You also have insects and spiders there. Then you see the connection. There's animal vertical on the map. It's the animal characteristics crossed with the row 2 issues. And then you're only left with 3 possibilities, only 3 groups to consider. Let's say the person has a 4-row issue, like in general, a 4-row issue. So that means, how do I sustain myself? That's the 4-row issue. I know I'm separated, I'm a separate being, I establish my identity, which happens on the row 3. Now I'm an adult, now I'm able to sustain myself, or am I able to sustain myself? Can I find certainty? Can I find stability? Can I find income? And especially security. So it is, let's say, the purpose or the will or the wish of the majority of people. I want to be a normal citizen, with a normal life. I have a family, a job, a car, a house, 4 vacations a year, my pension, and everything is secured, predictable, and so I can live my normal life happily. That is the 4th row issue. And of course, the beginning of the row is uncertain. Can I? Like Alcarea said, it's a scary world out there. I don't know if I will be capable. And it builds up until, column 10, where the person feels, yes, I can. And then it's sliding back, and he's losing grip, and he's the certainty is crumbling around his feet, and so it goes down. That is, you're familiar with that. It's the going up and down movement that you see from row 4 on the periodic table. Now, you heard all those topics, and you think it's a mineral, but you miss the typical mineral words, which are heavy, stability, security, balance, all that. You don't have it. Then the map will show you that there are a few more possibilities to consider, for instance, sarcodes and gemstones. And you might never have thought about that. Like, huh? Oh, they sound like a mineral, but they are not mineral. Why not? Well, because gemstones, they have like plant-like emotional issues with the mineral context, and sarcodes, they are governed by circumstances, and the issues are nowhere to be found on the periodic table. They just present like a fourth-row mineral. So on the other side of the map, you see boxes, and in those boxes, I just put extra information on lesser known groups, because in the small boxes of the inside, there's no room for it, and also it's not the aim of going into detail. I only want to give the group and the one or the few keywords from that group that you have to have in order to consider it. So on the other side, the back side, you'll find species or substances, and then with the keyword for each substance. So for instance, carbon compounds, you find a few words. On the other side, you find actual carbon compounds remedies with their typical nuance. Of course, they share all the main characteristics, but then all of them are a little bit different. That's why we individualize so much. We try to go to the, let's say, for us, extreme possible individualization. It's not possible to give every person the exact simillimum, because we're all different, we're all unique. That means that every person on the planet would need another remedy if you want to be like that precise, which of course is unmanageable and unthinkable. There's no system that can work like this. So we have to come, let's say, with our remedy close enough to produce a resonance in the person. And the resonance will put the process, make a process going of harmonizing the whole system. That's the shortest way I can say it. Now, there are a few new, concepts that are also to be found in the map, and that is the second and the third dimension. I think, and my students agree, that this is a very, very helpful tool. What do I mean with the second and third dimension? Well, it's a concept that is based on the context of your consultation. So we used to focus on the content. The content is what you write down. This is your notes. That is the words the patient spoke. What is usually not in your notes is the context. And the context is the way the patient behaves, the impression the patient makes on you, the interaction between you and the patient, your observation of everything else but the words, how the words are spoken, what was the voice, what was the body language, how was the expression, how was the pace of the consultation, how was the evolution of the consultation. All of this is so important, as to the point that it will be decisive for your remedy. You can sometimes, even in the beginning of the consultation, already know for a fact, for sure, whether it's a second dimension or a third dimension case. I will give you an example. So the second dimension, I consider everything that is, first dimension is on planet Earth. It's the iron crystal in the center with which we resonate with the iron in our blood. Second dimension is everything between the surface and the center. And the third dimension, obviously, is the surface of the Earth. It's 3D where we live. Where we live, I mean plants, animals, and humans. That's our 3D world. Under our feet, we have the second dimension. What is there? Well, it's elements, it's ores, it's stones, it's gas, it's oil, and it's all the building blocks of everything that appears on the third dimension. So you could say it is a more dense world, it is more hidden, it is more heavy, but it's the building blocks. And so we think about elements, of course, but elements are quite rare in themselves. Usually they're combined, And if they are combined, they make other things, like rocks and stones. They're hardly ever made of just one element. The same with gemstones. Gemstones are stones, but they are formed under special conditions, and they rarely have only one element. Usually they have a mixture of two. One is predominant, and then a few more that make them unique again. Otherwise, we wouldn't even see a difference. If you go to the map, you will also find in the second dimension not only rocks and stones and gemstones, of course, and celestial bodies, but and carbon compounds, because carbon is an element, but then you have all kinds of compounds. But also, for instance, the imponderables and the sarcodes. And people could think, well, why sarcodes? Sarcodes are made from human or animal tissue, or taken from human or animal tissue. And yes, there are, but the tissue itself, or the organ itself, is a very primitive organism. It's a very simple organism compared to the complexity of the whole where it is a part of. So in the same way, you can say, yeah, but plants are made of silica and a lot of other products, but they are more than the combination of their parts. They become a new entity. So when you break them down to their parts, the parts is a simpler or a more simple organism. That's why I feel the sarcodes as being a simple organism or tissue or product belongs in the second dimension. The keywords of second and third dimension you can find on the top. So the basic experience, which is vital of the second dimension, is emptiness. So they feel empty, not because they worked out and now they feel their head is empty because their body worked. No, it's an existential emptiness. It's the void. Yeah, that's a completely different thing. And it's about existence. While you see the third dimension, it's about life, and even in the animal world, survival. And that's a whole different thing. We all live and we all want to stay alive. Everything that lives wants to stay alive. But it is a completely different thing to exist or to live or to survive. And people will tell you this by the language they will use. Your consultation in second dimension will be more factual, more sober. You have to ask questions, and they will answer questions, and they will give you definitions, and even they will talk about their feelings, but you won't show, but you won't see the feelings. It will be about my capacity. Can I, or I can't, or I don't have, or I miss, or I lose, or I need. That is all second dimension talk. They're mostly very dependent on the specific thing they need in order to exist. And they try to have some support, they try to have some grip, they try to have something that they can base their existence on. So most of the time, your consultation in a 2D setting will be like one issue, like more simple, whether it's an element or another 2D remedy you need. When it's an element, you can boil it down to one sentence. And it is on the periodic table. If it's not on the periodic table and it's a bit more than one sentence, usually it's another one. For instance, a bacteria. Then it will be all about health and disease and my vitality, which is not the topic of the periodic table vitality. It's a topic of the bacteria. But it will have like more ramifications. Okay? But the setting will be the same. While 3-dimension setting is more engaging, the patient has seen you. You are not in your role as a healer. Now you are a person and they're engaging with you. And plants, you ask a question, they talk for 15 minutes or 20 minutes and they go in all directions and there's a lot of feelings and everything they tell is like the whole image. They picture you the whole image. Not a definition, but like a picture. You see the picture. With the colors and the sounds and the emotions and everything. And also, likewise, animal cases will also be much more lively, but there's this little hinge of controlling your consultation. They will comment on you. Not only they have seen you, but they test you a little bit, or they will comment on you. For instance, they will say, I've seen you written books. I've written books too, but not as many as you. So it's just comparing. And that is, there's no need in a consultation to compare me to the patient or the patient to me. It's their thing. It's the animal thing, comparing how who is higher, who is slower, who is better, who is behind, who is more beautiful, who is more rich, who is stronger. That's always in animal mind. While in plant mind, it's about emotions. It's a repetitive emotion. So all this you can find on the map. See, in one glance, you see in the under the third and second dimension, you see the keywords, and then you have the shortest description of your case. If you have many things in your case and it's more complex, it's 3D. Many symptoms, many levels, many modalities, which you won't have in 2D. You won't have any modality at all. Many stories, many examples, etc. The many, like your cases with 15 pages of notes and you have no clue what to do with it, plant. See what I mean? Yeah? So, and it's much more complex. And that is all you can find on one glance, and you can compare it on the map. And the next thing I want to show is the family finder of, as I told you, the map is actually a spin-off. So what you see here is a general outlook. So how does it look? What is it? It's a module, and it's conceptualized to think for you. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to put in there, that you don't have to know a lot of things. The family finder will do it for you. So for instance, what you see here is, let's go to the design first. You have like 3 arrows here. You have the search possibility, the family, and you have a navigation. And here you have the box with all information. So the search, you can search for a word, you can search for a family, you can search for a remedy. Yeah. Then this is what will be the result of your search. We go into that in a second. And then the third one, the navigating, will show you your remedy or your family, where it belongs on the tree. That means taxonomy, biology, whatever. You can see the family members. So the members you might know better. For instance, your result might be some spider you never heard of, but then you look at family members and then you see some spiders you're more familiar with. And now you say, oh, it's one of those, so it must have similar characteristics. And of course, all this is linked to the whole Opus program. So whether the remedy is in the family finder or not, it will be in the Opus program anyway. And then you can navigate on the map. Now let's give an example. I have to share my screen for that. So let's do that, and I will show you, just give you a few examples. Okay, it doesn't seem to want to do that. Although I said allow. Yeah. Doesn't seem to want to do this. Maybe I try it here. Words. Can you see me? Can you see the screen? I want to make. You cannot see it yet. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'll try it, but it doesn't seem to. But I can just do. No, I can't. Well, that's too bad, because I wanted to give you an example. And this is only the general design, but then I cannot go into more details. Maybe that'll do. I don't know. If you can read it, you can see, for instance, the human sarcodes. That is what I typed in here. You see it here, human sarcodes under family. And then what it gives.
Ma'am, shall I open my radar and share it?
Okay, good. Yeah.
Just a minute, I'm opening mine.
Okay. And then I can see on your radar screen, and then I can give you a few examples.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that is good. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, he's unwilling to, although we already tried
Yeah, we
it.
tried it. Now it's not working.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just getting open,
Okay.
initializing my app.
Okay. So, you tell me when you're ready?
Yes, ma'am. Just
Sure.
a minute.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe I can meanwhile tell a little bit about
Yes, ma'am.
the outlook anyway. So in the middle, as you see, the entries covered. You can see it's 2D or 3D. So we have a different color for all remedies that belong either to 2D or 3D. That means that if you have only 2D remedies, that is half of the possibilities. So that is why already the first big division that you can make cuts down or limits your possible candidates to prescribe on, which is important because in the beginning, when your patient walks in, all possible remedies are still open. You can need whatever you can think of, and then, okay, you cut it down to the half. So if you see it's all black, and of course it is black because I put in a 2D group, then you know it's all 2D remedies. If you type in words, you will have mixtures of 2D and 3D. That means you will have red fonts and black fonts. Then on the box below, what you see is 4 words. Okay.
Yes,
Now there it is. Very well. Very well. So what you see here below is experience, theme, context, or expression. And that goes in, or that represents 4 levels. So of course the level of experience, which is the vital level, you can say it's sensation level. If you have a word that comes up in experience, it is crucial. It's typical for that remedy. If you have this, you have the sensation of that remedy or that group. Theme will be the general themes. That means what most likely will be the issues expressed by the patients. It's not all of them, but most likely. And then you have context, which you can see is in italic, so it has a different font, which is again easily to spot on which level you are. Context is how the patient behaves, how the consultation behaves. And I told you context is extremely important. For instance, I give you just a simple example. I told you if you have to ask question after question and the patient waits for your next question to answer, usually that's 2D. Except animal cases will do it too, but they will like warm up after a while because they already then assessed you, they test you enough, they kind of trust you, and they will give you more information and start to tell more. But still, you will have to ask the questions because they will not want to tell you more than they feel you need to know. So there's a difference in that context as well. But it's so important because if a patient makes you feel like or it makes you feel intimidated or he's controlling the interview, you're in animal kingdom. You don't even have to doubt about it. I mean, that's context. And the expression is the expression that at least one of my patients told me in consultation. So it can be only one case, it can be more, because there are about almost 500 remedies lots of them are new remedies, lesser known remedies, and so we have to start somewhere. And since I have a cured case without remedy, I assume that the expression might be typical, but it might be a typical expression for that patient needing that remedy. So it's not claiming that it is typical for all cases needing that remedy, but at least we have one expression. Now let me give a few examples, because it probably is not clear if it's all too theoretical. Let's say your patient is very restless. How restless? Oh, can you type it in then, Dr. Ria?
Yes.
You're restless? You don't have to do it because I don't seem to be able to type in.
No
Restless?
problem.
Okay.
Why is it loading so much?
It's loading. Yeah, there it is, restless, and then you take, like, for the second word, a hair. Like your hair. Yeah. So that could be a case that you don't know what to do with. The patient has a very, very common symptom like restlessness. Cannot prescribe on restlessness. That would be ridiculous. And then he has something with hair. There's something, he's too worried about losing his hair. He's a man in his 60s. His hair looks okay, but he seems to have an unusual importance for the way his hair looks. So it's a strange and peculiar symptom. You have no clue what to do with it, but let's have a look in the family finder. Maybe they have an idea. Now you click on enter, and this is your result. I wished I could read it, Dr. Ria.
No, you can't.
Yeah, it says on the first hit, because it's in chronology, of course. You have number 2 on 2. That means 2 words, and you have one result for 2 hits. And this is insecta, and then the one result underneath it, if I can read it right, is 1 hit on 2. You have 2 words, there's only 1 hit. So there's only 1 word that will be found in that other remedy. And it doesn't say which word, it just says 1 hit. So what you see now is red and black outcomes. That means the 3 first are red. That means there's a strong tendency for 3D remedies, because the 3 first ones are all red. You disappeared?
No.
Well, you currently disappeared from my screen.
Okay, I don't know. I've not closed it.
Oh, the technical things are a bit annoying now. I see it in this. Now that's my PowerPoint. Now, anyway, I know from the top of my head that the first hit was insecta. We've seen that. So what appears, since your cursor is on insecta, it will show in the box below all the main characteristics of the insecta. That means as a family, not a species, but as a group. And you can also see there's a little arrow there. You can expand the box because sometimes there are more words in it than you can see in one glance, and you can, close it again. So all the keywords are there. Also by the font, you can see the level of the keywords. And then if you go to the right-hand side, where you can navigate, then you can see the insecta in the tree, the taxonomic tree. If you go to the middle, I have to do it by head because I can't see your screen anymore. In the middle, you see the family members. That means all the insecta that we are so far have listed. You can click on anyone and it will connect to either Opus information or to Family Finder information if it's in there. If you want to check if it's in there, you just go to Remedies in the first, under the first arrow. There you have words, families, remedies. You go to Remedies, you click in the Remedies, and then in the middle, you will see whether this remedy is represented in the Family Finder or not. If it is, it will give all its characteristics in one cluster, in one glance, in the lower box, in 4 levels. If it's not, then you click on it and it will go to the Materia Medica of RadarOpus and everything what is to be found there. I hope I made it a little bit clear that there's so many things you can do with it, because even if you don't have a patient, you can learn about, for instance, gemstones. Then you click in gemstones under the first arrow where it says families. You click in gemstones. In the middle box, you will see how many gemstones are in the family finder. Click on each gemstone. In the box below, you will have all the keywords with the levels. Click on the right box. You will be able to navigate through the map. That means the map we just talked about. You can find on which side it is, 2D or 3D. You can find the characteristics of the row is to be found, and you will see in one glance with what is your differential diagnosis with other groups or remedies. In the case of gems, we row for minerals and sarcodes. That's it. And this is like all on one screen, on one glance. And so this, I hope, will be a very useful tool, and I'm adding it and updating it every day. So with every new update of Radar, you have like, again, 20, 30, 50 new remedies coming, new groups I'm working on, and, and fine-tuning all the information I have so far. So I'm ready for your questions.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We really never knew that the family finder can be so helpful for us.
Yes.
I think I'll be using it every day now.
It is helpful because the people who worked with it told me they solved their difficult cases where they had no clue, and then it suggested remedies that they wouldn't have thought about. So yes, they gave me very positive feedback, and I'm happy with that.
Yes, I'm definitely. So, as you requested, let's begin the question and answer session. So, everyone, please send us your questions now. We are already about to run out of time.
Oh, sorry.
We are, but we will take a few questions as much as possible. So, okay, we already have one or two questions, ma'am. So I'll read them to you. Learner wants to know how to know what kingdom is suitable for our case. Can there be any help through the family finder or your other works from which they can understand that?
Yes, of course. That is like a very good question. It's like the first thing you want to know, isn't it? So the first thing for me would be like, am I on 2D or 3D? But let's say you don't understand the concept yet, or you have to practice a little bit before you have it in the fingers, but you want to know the kingdom. Now, the kingdom information, of course, is also there. So you just type in animal, and you have in the lower box all the characteristics of the animal. Or you think about plants, you cannot decide, have a look at plants, or fungi maybe. So it's all there, you can just check it. Of course, if you consider a kingdom, you probably had some hints of your patient already. And then you can type in the words and see if the kingdom that you are thinking about is actually coming up as the first possibility. Yes, so you can use it in different ways, but it will show you with certainty what is your kingdom. It has to.
Thank you, ma'am. So another learner wants to know which potency we should apply for different kingdoms. Like, is there any guideline for potency we should use?
For potencies?
For the potencies of the remedies.
Yeah, in homeopathy, there is not a topic that there is no discussion. And the topic of potencies is maybe the ultimate one, but and everybody has his own conclusion and his own system, and everybody has results. So I will just share you mine. I tend to give low potencies to 2D patients, and low I mean between 1 and 100. Usually C, but sometimes also D potencies. I tend to use between 100 and 1000 for plants and fungi, and I tend to give higher potencies to animal cases, starting with 1M and going up 5M, 10M, 30M, 50M, because that in my experience is what works best.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, learners, please send us your questions now. We don't have much time, but I do want to take up all the questions because we won't get this chance again. It was very difficult to get Dr. Anne to come with us for this webinar. So please send us your questions now. So let's wait a few minutes for more questions, ma'am, if that's all right.
That's all right for me.
Yeah. Also, in that time, I want to tell everyone that you can get Dr. Anne's Family Finder in RadarOpus, and if you don't have it in your package, you can add it as an add-on through our website itself. So you can visit our website and find the Family Finder add-on, and you can add it in your RadarOpus software if you don't already have it. I already have it, so I'm going to use it now.
Very good. Yeah. And as I told you, the map is because we have maps on the upper bar in RadarOpus.
Yes,
I think everybody has it, and now you can see under my name there are two maps. And the first is all the schemes that I showed you, and the second one is the vital approach map of homeopathic families, and it is there for everybody to see. I mean, you can buy it as a material thing, like a material map to have on your desk if you wanted to take with you or if you travel. But you can have it on your computer, and it comes for free with RadarOpus programs.
Yes, ma'am. So you heard Dr. Anne. You can access her work, her experience, and better your practice with its help. So I guess we don't really have any more questions right now, and we are running out of time. I don't want to waste your time, ma'am. So let's do one thing. We can consider doing another session in future if you'll allow us, so that we can learn more. We could even, go for a more practical session. This was a more informative to learn about Family Finder, but I would really love if you could discuss, how to actually use it with patients, like the clinical part of it. That would be really interesting.
That would be absolutely interesting. Then we demonstrated in practice how to use it, and people can, suggest a difficult case or whatever, a case that they don't really know what to do with or what would be the possibilities. Absolutely, I love it.
Great, ma'am. Looking forward to that. So let's wind up here, ma'am, if you'll allow me. I would like to thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us your time and sharing your experience and your knowledge with us. We like to extend a very warm gratitude on behalf of BGN RX and RadarOpus. Thank you so much for being here with us. And that's all. Please say a few words to our learners before parting.
Well, I hope to at least contribute to the becoming manageable again of homeopathy. I call it simplifying homeopathy, but I want to keep all the sophistication of it because it's such a wonderful, miraculous healing systems, and it's so very sophisticated. But I want to make it like accessible and understandable and easily approachable, like not being overwhelmed by too much, but having good waterproof tools that you can rely on to make like a certain prescription. That's really my mission.
Thank you so much. And I guess your mission will help us a lot.
I hope so.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much again. Thank you everyone for joining us here. Thank you, RadarOpus team. Thank you everyone. Have a great evening. Keep learning and start using the Family Finder now because I think it will be very helpful. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good evening. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.